Hey everyone, this is the Mind-Body Connection, and in this video we're going to discuss the basics of how to meditate. I've been meditating for about 5 years now, and meditation is the most significant tool that I know of to build emotional mastery, self-awareness, and train focus in our day-to-day lives. When I became more interested in psychology and meditation, I had a lot of questions related to meditation, like, where do I meditate? Do I meditate on a mountain like the monks? By a river? Can I do it in my room? Can I do it in public? What posture do I take when I'm sitting? Do I need to have a specific hand position? Can I meditate lying down? How do I meditate? What am I actually doing? Am I trying to quiet my mind? And there's a lot of different styles and philosophies that answer these questions in different ways. The one that's gotten a lot of attention recently is mindfulness meditation, which is usually looked at from a more secular perspective. Sometimes they incorporate elements and philosophies of Buddhism into the practice, but it's usually aimed at appealing to anybody who's interested in meditation itself. And this approach also has the most scientific research behind it on a multitude of benefits that come from practicing meditation. And I can certainly attest to many of these in my own life, and the research is getting more and more, and it's building more and more, and it's really an exciting time to get into mindfulness and meditation. So what I want to cover are some of the fundamentals of practicing mindfulness meditation, the how-tos, and some of the common pitfalls so that you can get started meditating today and have a framework for how you're approaching it and why you're doing it. When approaching any new topic or behavior, it's important to have a definition for what we mean when we say meditation or when we say mindfulness. I'll be making a lot of videos and podcast episodes about both in this channel. A quick overview is mindfulness is paying attention in the moment in a particular way, non-judgmentally, on purpose. It's paying attention to physical sensations, senses in the moment as they're occurring with an intention to be non-judgmental and observational. The meditation component is a more formal declaration or intention to sit in a particular place for a particular amount of time and practice mindfulness while sitting with your eyes open or your eyes closed. So mindfulness can technically be practiced anywhere at any time, whereas meditation, you need to set aside a spot and a time period to practice it in the posture you're choosing. So once we're ready to start meditating, we'll need to find a space to meditate in. And anywhere that we can sit comfortably for an extended period of time without having something call our attention that we need to immediately attend to is perfect for meditation. It's preferable to have a space that's quieter than others, but we can easily start getting bogged down in, is this space quiet enough? How much noise is too much? And really, that's not particularly important. There's always going to be some amount of noise and some amount of distraction, and that's part of life and part of the meditation practice. So now that we know where we're going to meditate, we need to, of course, know, how am I going to sit? Can I lie down when I meditate? And it's easy to get bogged down in a lot of the specific details and make that distracting or worrisome when you're starting meditation, when really what's important is that you're in a posture that you can be attentive and comfortable as possible, so you can sit for extended periods of time with minimal discomfort. So what that usually looks like is sitting in a chair or sitting on the ground, maybe with a support underneath you, having your back straight, your head forward like there's a string coming out, bringing it to the ceiling, having your shoulders relaxed, and having that sense of ease but also attentiveness so that you can pay attention and not doze off or have your mind wander more easily because your body's completely relaxed and not ready and attentive. So most people don't recommend lying down when you meditate because there is the possibility that you fall asleep, and it's a very different experience if you're lying down versus if you're sitting up. Whereas lying down, it's much easier to lie down for an extended period of time and go into a more restful state rather than a state that you're alert and can experience many of the benefits associated with meditation. Then there's the question of, what do you do with your hands when you're meditating? Are your eyes open or are they closed? Do you keep your glasses on? Do you take them off? And again, you want to do what's most comfortable and conducive to attention and comfort. So a lot of people will make certain hand positions that they find easy to maintain, put their hands on their legs or in their lap. Eyes are usually closed when meditating, although some people practice open-eyed meditation, and I personally take my glasses off, although it can be useful to have them on to see how it feels to have your glasses on your face. I don't pay a lot of attention to how it actually feels, and I actually find it difficult to meditate because I'm focused on where my glasses are on my nose, so that's actually kind of distracting sometimes, but it's also silly and it gives me more insight into it, so that can be a fun experiment as well. So you've picked a place to meditate, you're sitting comfortably and alert. Now, what do? How do you actually start meditating? Well, mindfulness meditation makes it very simple. It has one guiding principle, and that is pay attention to your breathing. Pay attention to your chest fill up and then fall. Pay attention to the air coming in through your nostrils in your mouth and out through your nostrils through your mouth. Maintain that as your point of focus throughout the course of the meditation. And of course, thoughts will come into your head. You'll start thinking about dinner. You'll start thinking about what you might be doing tomorrow. You'll start thinking about a conversation you had in the past. You'll think about an embarrassing moment that happened, a great moment that happened. All of these different thoughts are going to come into your head. And as you meditate more, you might notice how frequently we get caught up in our thinking without realizing we're caught up in our thinking. So with the goal to pay attention to our breath, every time we notice that our mind has wandered and we're in that thought loop, we bring it back and we pay attention to the breath, and we do that again and again, and that's mindfulness meditation. It's embodied with an element of non-judgment as well. So when we see that thought or we're engaged in that thought and we realize we weren't focusing on our breath, we gently and kindly bring our focus back and pay attention to our mind might wanting to degrade ourselves and say, oh, I'm not meditating correctly. I can't believe that I'm not doing this. This is a waste of time. Be curious about that. Pay attention to it and continue to bring your focus back to your breath. I wanted to take a little bit to cover the common pitfalls that people report when they're trying to learn meditation, and even when you continue meditating, that will come up as you're learning the practice. Ones that I certainly experienced and still experience to various degrees while I'm meditating. So perhaps the most common one, especially when you're beginning, is worrying that you're not doing meditation correctly. I'm not meditating right. My hands are in the wrong position, my back is too stiff or not straight enough, I'm thinking too much about the future, and I'm not doing this right. In mindfulness meditation, there's really only two things that you need to keep in mind when you're meditating. That is, are you doing it? Did you set the time and attention to spend a few minutes meditating and committing to it? And do you have the intention to come back to your breath? That's really the only prerequisites for doing it, quote unquote, correctly, is the intention to focus on your breath, bringing your attention back to your breath, and having the time to just sit and do it. So everyone, of course, has different emotions, thoughts, experiences, physical discomforts, and what's important is that you show up for yourself and practice meditation. A second common concern and perhaps misconception about meditation is that we're supposed to be quieting our mind. Isn't that what meditation is about? Achieving nirvana and peace and enlightenment and stopping thinking? Well, when we try to stop our thinking, it's usually counterproductive. You might, for example, try to not think of a pink elephant, if you've ever heard of that thought experiment, or not think about your girlfriend just breaking up with you, or whatever might have happened. If you try to stop that thinking, it's a really effortful loop that doesn't achieve much. You might be able to distract yourself, but intentionally trying to stop thinking about it is not going to be productive. And through meditation, what we're doing is noticing thoughts as they occur, observing them, and through that we might find that our mind's a little bit quieter, but it's certainly not the goal to change our state or to stop our thinking. as we meditate more and more, we might notice more periods and longer periods of calm and peace, and we might actually notice that we're thinking more than we realized before. So everyone has a different experience, and the entire range of emotions will and can be experienced in meditation because it's simply sitting with our breath and noticing what is occurring without those external distractions. So keep in mind that if your mind's not quiet and you're noticing that, that's actually a good sign because you're training yourself to notice when your mind is wandering and returning it back to your breath. So a third concern that's very common with meditation is physical discomfort and pain, whether that be an injury, a tight back, chronic pain, whatever that may entail for you as an individual. And a lot of people beat themselves up for scratching themselves or moving during meditation, and there are ways to approach it where you might challenge yourself to be present with the pain, but give yourself permission to move if you need to, especially when you're beginning. As long as you do it mindfully and you return to your practice after you shift. I recently passed a kidney stone, and there were episodes during that kidney stone where I had a lot of discomfort, a lot of pain, and there was a time when I was meditating in my car and I got a flare-up of discomfort, and what I noticed was that I was actually creating more stress and distress and suffering, worrying about how painful it might actually become than the pain itself was causing. So I actually ended up stopping after a bit, more so because of the worry than the discomfort, but I noticed how much suffering I caused myself worrying that it would get overwhelming, whereas the pain itself was tolerable. So there was some insight into pain there, and you might find that as well as you start meditating more. Last, and probably the most difficult one to overcome, is I don't have time to meditate. I'm too busy. I work 70 hours. I have to take care of my kids. I want to get my workout in. Why should I prioritize meditation? Or I don't want to prioritize it, or I can't, or whatever the excuse is. And really my challenge to you is take 5 minutes a day. Set a timer and meditate. 5 minutes. Find a time any point during your day, whether right when you wake up, before you go to bed, when you're on break. Take that time for yourself. Try it for just 2 weeks and see if it makes a difference. See what meditation is like for you. It's incredibly important to get into the habit so that it changes the way your brain is functioning and changes the way you experience the world. You don't see a lot of the benefits if you just sporadically meditate. So it's important to build that habit, even if it's just 5 minutes and it builds over time. So that's my overview to getting started on meditation. I really encourage you guys to try that 2-week challenge, just taking 5 minutes a day, set a timer, practice some mindfulness meditation. So this is again the mind-body connection. I'll be releasing more videos on different meditation techniques, common pitfalls. I'll be talking to yoga instructors and psychologists and friends and how they approach meditation in their day-to-day lives. And I encourage you to try the habit out, see how it affects you. There's a ton of research on the benefits that I'll be talking about in the future, and there's information all over the internet. I'll send in some links. I'll put in some links in the description on videos and apps that I really like for meditation that provide more tools and insight into how to approach the practice. So thank you guys for your time. Please subscribe and check out the channel and the podcast for more information. I want to provide as much information and resources as possible to make practicing meditation and mindfulness as accessible as I can. So always reach out. Please leave your feedback in the comments. Send me an email. And thanks again, and I'll see you guys in a few weeks.